Hello, fellow seekers. Welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice Podcast. My name is El, and I return again to read some Law of One material for you. Today, I have a quote from Quo and one from Ra, and I suppose the topics are going to be on, loving the unlovable, like how to love negative entities and those evil things that seem unlovable out there. We're going to talk about unity, you are what you hate. Everything comes from the Creator, Armour of Light, Sword of Truth, Open Heart. All these types of things are notes that I have written down that we will elaborate on. So, without further ado, let's get into the Quo quote, and then I will end this with a Ra quote. So, this quote is from Quo, and this is from 1988, January 3rd. Before I was born. So this is the quote, and I will begin. It is not difficult to love negatively oriented individuals once you can connect into that portion of your deep mind which sees each person, whatever the vagaries of trouble and circumstance, as a holograph of the one infinite creator. This entity becomes utterly essential to you, and you may pray with a full heart with this person and move from strength to strength, from learning to learning. All threat disappears, all separation vanishes. We do not wish you to think that we have forgotten our third density experience. We know that the biases of this very effective illusion make it very difficult to view negative individuals without some alarm. Yet there is no control that such an entity may have over you if you but know who you are, if you but know the choice that you have made. As a warrior of light, you use no weapon but what may be called the armor of light, the sword of truth, and a wide open heart chakra, loving without stint, without expectation of return, and most of all, with no judgment. Quo, the Law of One material, and you can get that all at theoneinfinitecreator.com. That's my website, and you can find all this information for free that LL Research provides us. So let's talk about this quote, right? I suppose the main part at the beginning, which they state, it is not difficult to love negatively oriented individuals once you can connect into that portion of your deep mind, which sees each person, whatever the vagaries of trouble of circumstance, as a holographic of the one infinite creator. This is, they say it's not difficult. Yeah, right. It is kind of difficult, but that's the whole idea here. Once they've stated, once you've actually reached that deep portion of your mind, which sees the unity within all creation, in that, we talk about service to others path and service to self, but the perspective of unity breaks that down just so that you understand the two ways to get back to the creator. But in essence, the true perspective of that unity lesson is there is no difference, right? There is no difference between service to others, service to self. In essence, everything is the creator, everyone is the creator, and there's just free will aspects of everybody making their different choices to make their way back to the creator. And, those choices can somewhat be broken down into service to others and service to self. And we can talk about that more, but we've talked about that a lot. So I want to go on to something a little bit more fun here. So loving the unlovable. I have written down here, you are what you hate. So I remember telling people this just in my, my general philosophizing about unity over the years. I generally will bring that up to people, and it's really funny if you bring that up to somebody, how much it will most likely trigger them. People do not like to be told that, what defines them is what they hate. Well, why? Well, it's because mostly what defines people in their mind is all the things that they love and all the great things about them, right? However, obviously things that you hate aren't things that you want to focus on a lot, and so we sort of suppress those things, and weirdly enough, those cause distortions and oddities within ourselves, which we act out. And I suppose the bigger truth is that the creator is love. The creator is unconditional love. If we truly were in resonance with harmony, with what is, we would, with the creator, right? We would be in a state of unconditional love for all beings, for all things, at all times. That's almost like the path of where we're headed, right? We're headed towards unconditional love. Right now, we're in this distorted illusion of third density, which makes it very convincing that we're all separate from one another. And it's that that illusion of separation that it's very convincing, that allows us to sort of make these seeming different choices. But what we're doing here is we're distorted right now. We're distorted from unconditional love, and as we undistort, we essentially drop away the things that we hate, and we accept things and we love, because everything is the creator and everything is love. And so if you do not see it that way, well, then you are seeing, through the eyes of illusion. You are seen with distortion. So to see truly is to see that all is one. So let me explain how I use this information in my daily life. Maybe you hear people explain these things and you think that I'm going out there just this perfect entity in perfect harmony, just loving everybody. Well, that is definitely not the case with me. So, the way I see it is I'm sort of an observer of myself and my emotions and the way that I get triggered or react to certain things. So if I'm going out in my life and I see some evil or negative entity doing something, obviously I feel within me a bit of revolt, a bit of disgust, of something like that, right? So what I do is I immediately take note that, hey, I'm having a feeling of other than unconditional love. Why is that? And I just challenge myself to see that. Like, basically, I understand that my mind is a great separator. It really is interested in separating things into different categories and putting them in different spots in your brain and to make sense of everything. And it does that. That's a good thing in a way, right? But at the same time, it makes mistakes about about convincing you of this separateness. And I would suggest that I just sort of laugh at myself in my mind whenever it gives me all the greatest excuses it can as to why I should hate somebody or why I should seek revenge or whatever. I see myself making those statements in my head and feeling the rightness to them. And then, I immediately challenge myself because I know that the mind likes to do that. And so I try to go, you know what? You silly silly mind, back off. What we're going to do here is we're going to attempt to love this person, okay? So that's how you're just going to have to make the slow work of doing that as you inspect your triggers and the things that you seemingly dislike about people. It's not even that, to say that those things about those people and the way they act, it's not to say that what they're doing is right. It's just that you don't really have any control over that. So all you really have control over is yourself. And, if you'd like to change the world, then you must start with yourself, because wouldn't you know it, if everybody did that, the world would change. But everybody likes to make that big excuse that, well, it's just me, I'm just little me, and what can I do, right? Like, what big deal is it? Like, what can I do? Well, I'm one person. I had those thoughts. I don't know. I've made a silly little Instagram page and eventually doing podcasts like this, and well, here you are listening to it. So I don't know. One person can do stuff. I'm not saying that I'm doing anything amazing. It's just that I don't know. I suppose it's easy to be the victim, and it's easy to just pretend that life is just hard and it's easy to give up. But I would suggest, if you really do understand this unity, and maybe even if you don't, but you kind of fake it till you make it, you act as if love is true, and you go out there and you attempt to be a good person and set your intention to serve, things of that nature. I believe that the creation will, how do I say, will reinforce, the positivity of your thoughts, or like, the manifesting will happen. As you give, you will receive. As you give, you may receive tenfold. It's not why you give and why you serve, but I'm just saying that, as you act as if love is true, then true love may sort of manifest in your life in a more sustainable basis. So that was a nice little rant. Let me go into my notes and see what else that we have to tell you about. Yeah, when I was pondering this quote, this this quote came into my head from Ra, which they state, there was the questioner in the raw material. They were asking, where do these thought forms come from? They were asking about sort of like negative entities, negative lower astral entities. They're sort of a thought form, is what they describe them as. So Ra answers in session 16.4. They answer, firstly, they come from the Creator. Secondly, thirdly, right, they go down, where they come from, the lower astral, etc. But anyways, I just want you to note here that anytime the questioner challenges Ra in terms of asking, who somebody is or where they are from, Ra always brings it back to the main focus, which is that they are the Creator. They are you. They are of you. You are of the Creator. We are all the Creator. So I just think that I suppose I'm just using that to highlight the importance, right? Your mind is a master of giving you the most beautiful excuses to be angry. But if you just constantly challenge yourself and that everyone comes from the Creator and therefore they're all just these weird, distorted bits of love running around, it's just easier to accept them, and I suppose understanding free will and understanding that everyone makes their choices in their time. All you have control over is you and not others, and you can sort of let go of the seeming responsibility to save everybody and things like that. So they state here a little bit later in the quote, they state, we do not wish you to think that we have forgotten our third density experience. We know that the biases of this very effective illusion make it very difficult to view negative individuals without some alarm. Yet there is no control that such an entity may have over you if you but know who you are, if you but know the choice that you have made. So there's no control over you an entity may have over you if you but know who you are. So how do I interpret this? Well, I interpret it as, a negative entity, I'm talking like even human, obviously, can do the worst, most terrible things to you. So just think of, obviously, some terrible things, right? Like torture, whatever, put you to death, anything like that they can do. I suppose you just have to know that you're an infinite portion of the one infinite Creator. They state in another part of the raw material in session 104.26, they state, nothing is lost. All is well. Like the one infinite Creator is that, it is infinite. So in any kind of illusion, any kind of illusory part of the Creator that seemingly wants to control or destroy you, they can maybe do that temporarily, but you're still a soul of infinite worth, you're an infinite soul, and you will continue on, whether in this carnation or another, with the choices and the lessons that you need to learn. And, thy will be done. The Creator works in mysterious ways. I would just sort of think that, no matter what's happening to you in your life, if maybe you made a plan to leave, this density in a certain way through an interaction with a negative entity. I don't know, right? But you don't know either, I guess, is the idea. And so all you really know is just that you can do well by just attempting to love all others and as they are, and there's really nothing anyone can do to you. I mean, it's hard to say this because, I think of like me being imprisoned. That would be terrible. But even then I would have, I would be free in essence if I understood the nature of the Creator, which is, infinite love now, here, in the moment, at all times, beyond illusion, beyond what's in your face. This is love. So I guess that's sort of the idea of them not being able to control you. So, I suppose I just wanted to mention briefly, they talk about the Armour of Light and the Sword of Truth and the open heart chakra at the end here. I think those are all sort of saying the same things. I would suggest that the open heart is your Armour of Light and is sort of your Sword of Truth in a way. So just briefly going over an Armour of Light. I think what's important with the Armour of Light, it's, if you are really truly sitting in unconditional love, if a negative entity comes to somewhat influence you, tempt you, control you, whatever, you sending honest, this is the important part, honest love their way, that is it's like it's like turning the light on in the dark. They just causes these types of people or things to scatter. What they work with is darkness and darkness, or they want to put out your light. So if they can entice you to, be dark by acting dark your way, well then great, you've sort of fallen for their trick, right? Versus if you just stay in open, unconditional love for that other entity, that is your best protection against them. Ironically, it seems to be the opposite, but you have to understand that, everything is a free will distortion. It's my understanding that any negative entity who's trying to influence you, they cannot create something new in your mind. It's not like they can create a negative thought and seed that. What my understanding is that they can only work with distortions of negative things that already exist within you, right? So that's why I was saying, remember, you are what you hate. So like, if I'm just to give you like a metaphysical perspective, the way I see it is like a negative entity would sort of have a look at your metaphysical body or your metaphysical existence. They would find those weak points in you, where you find judging and hating and holding grudges worthy. Wherever they find those things, those opportunities, they can tempt you, or what was the word that they use? They can energize those within you in hopes of, pulling that distortion out of you, to have the dark fight the dark. So, your Armour of Light is to truly stay in love and an unconditional love, not like oh, well, I'm going to love you so you leave, right? Like, even as I explain it, you're going to be tempted to be like, well, I'm going to love this thing so it leaves. But, you're sort of doing a controlling thing. You really need to look at them as a true aspect of the one infinite creator who is of infinite worth and is making free will choices. And although you disagree with their free will choices, you accept their free will to make those choices. And, there's your Armour of Light, and that is my understanding as to, your sort of best attempts at protection. So then what is the Sword of Truth? Well, I don't know if I need to explain much of that. The negative entities manipulate and lie, and they're happy to do so. The Sword of Truth can cut that, to I suppose act as if love is real, right? The Sword of Truth, love is real. That's an easy way of putting it, and acting that way and speaking that way, living that way. That's your Sword of Truth. That is how to cut to the heart of things, if you will. And then those are all just the same things of describing the open heart. At the end they talk about the open heart, not judging, staying in unconditional love. I feel like that is what I've just explained here. So, just going back, I remember I said I was going to leave you with a Ra quote, and I will. So I did indicate that nothing is lost, and I guess what I was trying to get at with that was that, even if negative entity seemingly, does the worst possible thing they can to you to remove you from this third density experience, well, Ra states nothing is lost. You are an infinite portion of the Creator. So I'm going to leave you with this nice quote from Ra from session 104.26, and I really like this one. So they say, I am Ra. We leave you in appreciation of the circumstances of the great illusion in which you now choose to play the pipe and timbrel and move in rhythm. We are also players upon a stage. The stage changes. The acts ring down. The lights come up once again. And throughout the grand illusion and the following, there is the undergirding majesty of the one infinite Creator. All is well. Nothing is lost. Go forth rejoicing in the love and the light, the peace and the power of the one infinite Creator. I am Ra. Adonai. So, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you appreciate my service, I appreciate if you could, offer your support as I seek to freely give. I would appreciate freely receiving. Is that free? I don't know. Anyways, you know what I'm getting at. Go to theoneinfinitecreator.com, scroll down to the support section. I've got Patreon, one-time PayPal. Shoot me an appreciation, gratitude. Is very helpful for me in developing this podcast and giving me more time to do these things. So thank you very much for everybody who is already, supporting it. It means the world to me. I really, really appreciate it. And as of the links, for this, theoneinfinitecreator.com. And, like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. That helps with the channel. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And I will be back again next week to continue on with some philosophizing. Take care.